Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week, still bringing you the number one form, number one ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, if you have not already done so, go ahead right now, drop a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that way you can have all the news, notes, alerts, and forms of entertainment when you talk your Alabama football. We're also streaming to you the show on Facebook and Twitter as well. All forms of social media got you well taken care of on this evening. No excuse whatsoever for you not to be locked on to the hottest show on the streets. NBA playoffs going awesome right now. I mean, Western Conference Finals, the Phoenix Suns up 2-0 on the Clippers. I told a friend of mine that the moment the Suns put the Lakers out, Phoenix is going to win the NBA Finals. That's just my opinion. Chris Paul, it is time for him to get that ring. You've got Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Bridges. You got Cam Payne. You've got Jay Crowder. So many great players in full sync together. Last night, Suns took a 2-0 lead on the Clippers. Now, LA has been good with bouncing back from these deficits. We'll see what happens. Monty Williams, to me, one of the more underrated coaches in the NBA. Suns getting it done right now. But when it comes to Alabama, Coach Saban making this a family affair in terms of recruiting. We all remember where he had both AJ and Corey McCarron on the campus together. And then, of course, we had Anthony and Sean Jennings. Of course, that was kind of short-lived. And now, after we've seen Dylan Moses play, Nick Saban and Alabama have extended a scholarship offer to Dylan's brother, Keelan Moses, for the 2025 class. So we got the Moses brothers trying to play at Alabama with, Dylan already playing here and the Tide extending that offer to his younger brother Keelan down there in Louisiana. We'll see, as it's early right now, but we'll see where young Keelan ends up. But as always, people, we want to hear from you today. 205-448-1358. That is the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Gotta shout out my man, John Ivory in the building, handling the ones and twos in the production studio. As always, people, I got on my 18 of them thang folk t-shirt right here. You gotta cop that, courtesy of tdaware.com. That's tdaware.com. Showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we're going to dive in right now to the first topic of conversation on this evening. And everybody is excited about Bryce Young for good reasons. I'm excited about Bryce Young for good reasons. I mean, this guy, coming into it first year as a starting quarterback, we want to see, is the magic real? Is the magic big time? Can he take this team and lead it to a national championship for the Crimson Tide? Now, we don't have to go into all of his numbers and his data and his highlights and the awards and the statistics that he put up at the powerhouse Mater Dei High School in California, but we do know he came to Alabama 2020 class as a five-star prospect. He sat behind Mac Jones a season ago, and he got a first-hand view of what it is to run an offense, what it is to conduct an offense, what it is to be a part of an offense, what it is to make an offense grow, click, and work. And during the national championship game against Ohio State toward the end, where we saw Mac Jones come off the field and he handed the ball to Bryce Young, that was a symbolic moment. That was Mac Jones saying, I'm the past, you're the future now. This is your team. This is your offense. This is your program. I'm handing the baton to you, young fella. You go and you take this thing over. And we saw how Bryce performed in the spring. Coach Saban spoke about the young man ad nauseum, talking about his accuracy, his precision, his athleticism, his command on the offense, his command on the scheme, his command on the play on the field. But not only just that, him taking charge of a team, being a vocal leader, being the guy in the huddle, being the guy in the locker room. Teammates have said this also. Brian Robinson, Slade Bolden, talking about how he's become more of a leader. He's become more of a guy that will talk more, that will have conversations, that will have a dialogue, that knows when to be serious. He's got that Cali swag about himself, but he also knows how to be serious and how to get down to business and getting the job done here. And along with trying to take Alabama to repeat national champion for the first time since 2011, this is the 2011-2012 season, another thing that Bryce is looking to do, he's trying to become the fifth quarterback. He's trying to become the fifth quarterback of the Saban era to be a first-year starter to win a national title, and this is putting him along the ranks of Greg McElroy, who did it in 2009, A.J. McCarron, who did it in 2011. You look at Jacob Coker, who did it in 2015, and, of course, Mac Jones, who did it this past year. So, Bryce trying to follow along in those same footsteps and getting this Alabama team to a national championship and him winning it as a first-year starter. But to me, I think the bigger reason why this young man is ready to introduce himself to the world as the next big stud quarterback in college football, CBS Sports released a graphic on this week, and it talked about, the graphic discussed the two tiers of quarterbacks coming into the upcoming season for college football, Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 represents the creme de la creme, the best of the bunch, the cream of the crop. Exceptional, strong, elite. You can't put anybody else above these guys. Like, these guys are what will make college football what it is in the upcoming season. So according to CBS, they had guys like J.T. Daniels of Georgia, guys like Spencer Rattler of Oklahoma, guys like Dylan Gabriel of UCF. I mean, they had about 4 to 5 guys in that Tier 1. Bryce Young was not mentioned in that tier. But then you have your Tier 2 guys. Now, Tier 2, they may not be the creme de la creme. They might not be the special elite type, but they're really, 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 really good. They're really, really talented. And if you get the ball to bounce your way, you get some breaks to go your way, then you have an opportunity to take your team and win, a national championship. And they had a bunch of guys, CBS had a bunch of guys in Tier 2, but 2 of those guys, Bryce Young will face head-to-head in the upcoming season. It had Derrick King of Miami. The Crimson Tide will face the Hurricanes on Saturday, September 4th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. That's going to be a very fun matchup. You already got Miami Hurricane fans. They're hyped up. They're pumped up. They feel like we got the athletic quarterback. We got the pieces to give Alabama some problems. And then the other quarterback, that being Matt Corral of Ole Miss, the Crimson Tide will host the University of Mississippi during the season as well. So Young will face Corral. So when we look at Bryce not mentioned in neither of the 2 tiers. Now, I can understand him not being mentioned in Tier 1, but for him not to be mentioned in Tier 2, this is a big opportunity for this young man to make this transition from 5-star phenom coming out of high school to, hello, I'm Bryce Young, and I'm the baddest man in college football. Hello, I'm Bryce Young, and I'm the next big stud quarterback you're going to see walking through the collegiate ranks. Now, this is his moment to unleash all of the firepower onto the world of what he can do. I'm excited about it. I know you as the fans excited about it. You want to see this young man take Alabama back-to-back national championships. You want to see this young man become the 5th quarterback of the Nick Saban era to win a national title as a first-year starter. But most importantly, you want to see this young man show CBS and the national media. You could talk about all these other quarterbacks, but look at me. I'm about to pop. I'm about to burst onto the scene, and when I pop, when I burst, you're not going to be able to forget who I am. But, folks, that's going to take us to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we take your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweet, your text, your chats, your ideas right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
Thank you in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We are back in the action here, folks, on a Wednesday, hump day. Number one ticket here for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I forgot to mention this earlier. We are unveiling a new segment to the show called Stephen's Soapbox. It will be going on toward the end of the show, and this will be my untimed segment where I can give my cold, cutthroat views on what's going on in terms of Alabama football. Now, you know, will this segment be birthed to become an every show segment? Who knows? But tune in later on the show as we debut Stephen's Soapbox. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be very exciting and entertaining. But as we're back in from the break here, we jump to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, roll tide, Stephen.
How we feeling?
Oh, feeling good. Hey, I was doing a lot of recruiting news surfing last night and looking at what's going on, and had not a little idea in my head. Just wondering where you think position-wise Alabama needs to start focusing for these next two recruiting cycles, this next year in 2023.
Good question. I think that the first position is defensive end, most definitely, because after this year, you do lose LeBron Ray, you do lose Fidarian Mathis. You could also maybe lose a couple of guys to the transfer portal. So I think defensive end is a very important spot to look at. I think another spot to look at, maybe, running back. Yeah, running back, because you lost the likes of Keelan Robinson to Texas. You lost Kyle Edwards to the transfer portal. So how does Alabama go about making sure that running back room continues to be stockpiled the right way? Because after this season, you lose Brian Robinson. Now, of course, you would return Jace McClellan. You would return Roydell Williams. You would return Kamar Wheaton, possibly Trey Sanders also. But I look at defensive end, and I look at running back as two positions where Saban has got to keep those two spots stockpiled.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate that call coming in, talking about recruiting and what Alabama needs to continue to target in terms of positions. Going to also have that conversation with our own Justin Smith, scouting and recruiting analyst, get his thoughts there as well. But we take another call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Steven, y'all talking about Bryce Young. I know how he's going to be the man. I've done figured it out. Have you figured it out? I know how he's going to be the man. You know how?
Okay, Waylon, you figured it out. Let me hear from you. Let me hear from you, my man.
You get me a pass in the locker room after the first home game and we win, and I get him in there, and I can throw some little Richard on the turntable, long, tall, Sally, good golly, Miss Molly. He can do the Lindy Hop. He's my man. You got it?
Okay. So, you know what, Waylon? I'm going to hold myself to that. After the first home game, we're going to try to get you in here, Waylon. And if Bryce Young can get down with some little Richard, you got your answer, my man.
Well, I can do the Lindy Hop. He can come in there and do the Lindy Hop me. He's my man. All right, everybody's looking good here, boy. I tell you what, this Blue Wrench gang, I tell you, I don't know. They wore the wrench out. I think I'll have to go buy a unit AutoZone. Y'all looking good, everybody in there. Jimmy and Spencer and Mechanic, everybody on the page. Y'all be good. We'll try to get back in here maybe next week and holler at y'all. Steven, y'all looking good. John, everybody out there in the cities, towns, country, state, everybody stay safe. Let's meet back here again. Keep this show going. It's a great show. I'll see everybody in a while. Y'all be good. Bye-bye, everybody.
Appreciate the call there coming in from Waylon on the show. Got to shout out Jimmy the Man Clay. Jimmy Cash Man Clay. Starting us off with that $50 donation into the Super Chats. That daily Super Chat goal. People, $75. Daily Super Chat goal, $75. You guys have been knocking it out the park here these last few weeks, these last few shows. Jimmy Clay, as he always does, getting us started with that $50 donation. As you guys are continuing to get your calls in, 205-448-1358. One more time, 205-448-1358. Got to transition here to a quick topic, and that is Jalen Hurts, the former Alabama quarterback, Alabama legend. Although he spent his final collegiate season in Oklahoma, he will always be a Bama legend. Jalen Hurts will be back in the state of Alabama this weekend, Saturday to be exact. He will be hosting a youth football camp in Hoover, here in the Birmingham area, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The camp will have two split sessions. The early camp will be from 7 to 11 a.m. The later session will be from 4 to 8 p.m. It'll be for ages 6 to 16. Each young individual will get personal coaching from Hurts himself. The limit for the spots for the camp, 250. There's a 250 person limit. So if you're trying to get your young people involved in the Jalen Hurts camp, you can go to JalenHurtsCamp.com. Get yourself registered for that. His camp will be on Saturday at the Hoover Met Complex. Hurts continuing to give back to the communities that he has been a part of. Big ups there to one Jalen Hurts. But we take a break right now on the show. Upon our return, ladies and gentlemen, we will get into a conversation about who are the Bama players, or my Bama players, that need a big season in terms of their 2022 NFL draft stock. Before that, though, gotta shout out Spencer Reveley, that $5 donation and the Super Chats. Appreciate that love that comes from my man Spencer. But we'll talk to Bama players that need that big season for that draft stock right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back in here, folks. Back in here from the break of a number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Now, about to get into the players, the top players for the Crimson Tide, in my opinion, that need a big season in the upcoming fall when it comes to having that early round draft stock for the 2022 venue. So going with these players right now, the first player I thought about was Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson needs a big season at running back, and he and Jace McClellan, they're kind of jockeying for position to be running back one in the rotation. And as good as B-Rob is, as talented as B-Rob is, and I have faith in B-Rob, I do. 6'1", 226 pounds, a Tuscaloosa native, a guy that's got a lot of experience, a lot of big play potential. He's got power. He's got size. We know he can run guys over. But when you look at today's running back in college football, today's running back in the NFL, you're asking them to do everything well in the sense of not just power in between the tackles, but big speed to the outside, big speed in space, being able to catch the ball out the backfield to enhance the passing game, and also being a big pass protector, pass blocker. When I look at B-Rob, Jace McClellan can do all of those things really, really well. And for B-Rob, he's got to improve upon the speed, of getting a bit more speed, but also having the ability to catch the ball out the backfield consistently. Bill O'Brien has got to have him involved in the passing game this year. If he's able to do so, when I look at B-Rob, potentially he can be an early second-round pick. He could be an early to mid second-round guy. I don't see him as a first-round guy, but if he can have a big, strong, solid year, he can be a second-round guy. Second round is still an early-round guy. You're not being viewed as a bargain or as a mid-round guy until you hit that third round. So a big year, a productive year from B-Rob, he can put himself in that second round where he can still get a good signing bonus, where he can still get some guaranteed funds here. So this is a huge year for B-Rob in terms of his draft stock. Going on down, number 2, I look at John Mechie. This is a huge year for Mechie. Since 2011, where Julio Jones is concerned, Bama has had 7 guys taken in the first round. Nick Saban has said Mechie is the next guy. He's the next guy in line. He's potentially a first rounder. He's potentially top 10, top 20 guy here. Now, I understand that Bryce Young is going to want to spray the ball to a number of different weapons, but in my opinion, if Mechie can have a year where he catches 65 balls for about 1,300 plus yards, at least 1,300, but 1,300 plus yards, get me between 10 and 15 touchdowns, that's enough to put Mechie first round. To me, that's enough to lock John Mechie in as a first rounder, as a top 10, top 20 guy, because he's carrying that mantle as the number 1 guy that has been had by Julio, by Calvin, by Amari Cooper, by Judy, by Ruggs, by Smith, by Waddle. He's carrying that mantle. So if Mechie can go off 65 catches this season, at least 1,300 yards, if not more, 10 to 15 touchdowns, that would put Mechie first round, early round grade there, but that's him. But next guy, we're flipping this over to defense. Give me Big Field. Big Fidarian Mathis on the defensive line. Christian Barmore had the bully mentality, the energy, the fire, the momentum this past season. But now, Mathis has got to have that energy. Fidarian's going to have the energy. He's got to have the passion. He's got to have the momentum. He's got to have the productivity to run this defensive front, to run the front line. He was good last season. He was productive last season. But now he's got to take it another octave. He's got to take it another step. He's got to climb another ladder here to make sure that this defensive front is not only stuffing gaps and stopping the run, stopping these running backs for loss of yardage, but also harassing quarterbacks, sacking quarterbacks, and creating turnovers up front. So if Fidarian Mathis can do this, he can play himself into being potentially a first-round guy. Maybe not an early first-round guy. Maybe a late first-rounder. Maybe between picks 25 and 32, the back portion of that first round is where we could see Fidarian Mathis come off the board in 2022. If he's able to take that next octave, he needs a big, massive season this year, but take that next octave by Fidarian Mathis, number 3. Going over number 4 here, give me Chris Allen. I think it's self-explanatory that Christian Harris is going to have a massive season. I think we can all say it. I think it's safe to say that. But for Chris Allen, he's got to show the NFL scouts that last year was not a fluke. He's got to show them that, hey, when I'm healthy, this is what I truly am. When I'm healthy, this is what I really am. I am a wrecking ball. I am a force to be respected. I am somebody that you need to fear in terms of opposing quarterbacks and opposing running backs. This past season, Chris Allen, 13 tackles for loss, 6 sacks. He was everywhere. He was a menace to society. He was everywhere. This year, he can duplicate the performance he had this past season, but maybe add a tackle for loss or 2 more, maybe add a sack or 2 more to those numbers. He does that. Chris Allen puts himself as an early round draft pick. And then last but not least here, Josh Jobe. He is the leader of the defensive secondary. I know I just said this, and all of y'all are like, oh my gosh, Steve, don't say that. Don't say Josh Jobe is the leader. I'm kind of getting scared now. Josh Jobe is the leader of the secondary, and for good reasons. He did have a strong year. He did have a solid year. 55 tackles, 2.5 of those, tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 11 pass breakups. He did do some good things. He did do some strong things here on the field. The big thing with Jobe is going to be trusting the entire technique. I understand he loves being physical. He loves being passionate. He loves, pressing receivers out there on the field. But for him, can he cut down the handsiness just enough to where he's not drawing a lot of defensive holding, he's not drawing a lot of defensive pass interference, because there are a lot of NFL scouts that do believe in him. One in particular, Jim Nagy, the executive director for the Reese's Senior Bowl, he said Jobe is an early round DB. He looks at Jobe as the next early rounder, the next first rounder to put with a Patrick Surtain, a Marlon Humphrey, a Kareem Jackson, if you will, a D. Milner. He looks at Josh Jobe as the next guy that can fit that motif, that can fit that mantra. But for him, got to trust his technique, got to trust his work ethic here on the field. But those are just my guys. Brian Robinson, John Mechie, Fidarian Mathis, Chris Allen, and Josh Jobe are players that they need a big season in the coming fall to put themselves in an early round draft stock for the 2022 venue. Folks, that's going to take us to a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, we jump back into the phone lines to entertain your thoughts, your questions, your chats, your ideas right after this.
That dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
People are back in from the break on number 1 form for Crimson Tide football news on a Wednesday hump day. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We got a few super chats to get to as you, the Tide fans, have done it again. John has already got the horn going. We got the man wailing with the $9.99 in the super chats. Appreciate him. We got Jimmy Cash Clay again with that $20 donation. And we got Philip Sanders. Let's see, what did Philip Sanders provide? Philip Sanders, that $10 donation. Appreciate the love from Wayland, from Jimmy Clay, from Philip Sanders. The daily super chat goal of $75 has been met by you, the passionate fans of Bama football. Appreciate every single last one of you for making this your show, your network here on YouTube. But we're going to get ready to get back into the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. But as you guys are getting your thoughts together here, we actually got a call to take right now. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hello?
You're live on the show, caller. You're in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How do you think they're going to do without Mac Jones?
I think they're going to do well without Mac Jones. I know Mac had the single-season record, had an incredible year, but when he gave that ball to Bryce Young at the end of the national championship game, kind of handing that torch, I think Mac Jones knew Bryce Young is going to have this program in really good hands. I think this team is going to do very well.
Thank you.
Appreciate that call right there. I think when Mac gave Bryce that ball in that symbolic moment, I think Mac knew Bryce is going to have the program in good hands. Bryce is going to have the program in good spirits. Now, of course, you definitely want to have the guys behind Bryce ready, Paul Tyson, Jalen Milroe, absolutely. But I feel like when Mac gave that ball to Bryce at the end of the championship game, I think even Mac knew that this program was going to be in good hands. Got to shout out the man from Philly, man, Willie Beeman. That $20 donation coming from him, you guys. Lighten us up in the super chats. Appreciate all the love, all the support, all the donations through this very, 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 very hot summer. But appreciate the support from every last one of you. But as you guys are continuing to get your thoughts in here, we're going to go to a quick topic that involves one Derrick Henry, former Alabama running back Derrick Henry, who was with the Tennessee Titans. And I was watching ESPN's NFL Live the other day, and they had Mina Kimes on there, and I have a lot of respect for Mina Kimes. I love what she does. She does an outstanding job. But they directed a question to Mina about, who are the top 5 running backs in today's NFL. And she had Derrick Henry at number 2. She had Nick Chubb of the Cleveland Browns, former Georgia Bulldog, at number 1. And Mina was just giving her opinion of why Nick Chubb is the best back in the league. And I like Nick Chubb. No offense to Nick Chubb. I think he's really good. I think he's amazing. But to have Derrick Henry at number 2, part of the reason of being the best back in the NFL is if you are dominant in your job, and that job primarily is running the football. That job primarily is pounding defenders in the hole. That job primarily is making defensive linemen, linebackers, and defensive backs fear the crap out of you every time your hands touch that darn ball. That's part of your job description. And nobody does that better than King Derrick Henry. I mean, back-to-back NFL rushing champion. Nick Chubb doesn't have that title. Derrick Henry, back-to-back NFL rushing champion. Derrick Henry, one of 8 backs in league history, in the entire league, that rushed for 2,000-plus yards. Nick Chubb has not done that. Derrick Henry got Ryan Tannehill paid $118 million I have not seen Nick Chubb get Baker Mayfield paid. You pull Derrick Henry away from Tennessee. Derrick Henry is the culture. Derrick Henry is the franchise. Derrick Henry is the program. It's because of Derrick Henry that not only Tannehill got paid, but it's because of Derrick Henry that Julio Jones is now a Tennessee Titan. No offense to Nick Chubb, and I respect Mina's opinion, but I'm just saying Derrick Henry right now is the number one back in the league. You ask defensive linemen, you want to tackle Derrick Henry? Oh, heck no. You ask linebackers, you want to tackle Derrick Henry? Oh, man, no. And the worst, my man Reggie Coos. If you want to ask defensive back, hey, you want to tackle Derrick Henry? Oh, man, no. I want to make a business decision right now. I want to get myself out of the way from tackling that, man, because I do not want to be the man put in the hospital for trying to tackle Derrick Henry. I mean, you go ask Earl Thomas. He got put in the spin cycle because of Derrick Henry. You ask the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. I hope both of those programs gave Derrick Henry a nice little Father's Day gift because he has fathered both of those two defenses since he entered the league. But that's just my little spiel right there. We take a break right now, folks, on the show. Upon our return, we get into a topic of Jalen Milroe. Y'all been asking for updates on Jalen Milroe. How's the true freshman quarterback doing? How is he looking? We'll update you on Jalen Milroe's progression right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back from the break here, folks. Rocking and rolling on a Wednesday hump day on the number one ticket here for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for calling in, writing in, chatting in, donating in. Really love the support coming from you guys. And before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So for all of you Bama fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship, we want you guys to check out our championship collection merch. Now this means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go over Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. You already know I'm popping my Kylo, rocking my 18 of them things, folks, shirt. So you got to get yours as well. But you guys have been asking, all summer, how is Jalen Milroe looking? How is he progressing? How is he doing in 7-on-7? How is he doing this summer? So this segment will be dedicated to the true freshman from Texas, one Jalen Milroe, and he has been progressing well. He's been progressing well. He's had a good good summer. He's had a good 7-on-7. To me, when I look at Milroe, he is a very good runner. He is an electric runner. He is a quick-twitched runner. Now, Jalen Hurts, when he was here, a bit more of a powerful runner, but Milroe, that first step, that first, movement, that first speed, that first twitch athleticism, that guy's gone. Very, very quick guy when he runs with that ball. Now, he's a good thrower. He can throw the ball, but as we all know, There's a difference between throwing the football and passing the football. We kind of got a taste of this when we had the Jalen Tua, conversation back in 2017 and 2018. There's a difference there. Now, throwing the football, that entails, your velocity, your arm strength. What kind of a cannon do you have? How hard can you throw it? How fast can you rip it? How fast can you shoot it out there? Those are just the throwing tendencies. When it comes to passing and distributing the ball, this becomes how accurate can you be? How precise can you be with the variations of speeds that you put on the ball, when to have that fastball, but when to have the touch on the ball? Can you deliver that pass where that receiver does not have to break stride and he continues to run down the field for chunk yardage plays or touchdown? So there's a big difference between throwing and passing the football. Jalen Milroe, a good thrower, but where Nick Saban and Bill O'Brien are trying to develop him, they want him to become a pure passer of the football. This is the next stage of the development of Jalen Milroe, and he has the capability to do it. He has the ability to do it. He has the potential to be really good, at that. Coming out of high school, he was able to do it. Coming out of high school, he had success in that area out of Katy, Texas. So that's the next stage for Milroe as he continues to grow in that fast track here, is being able to effectively distribute the ball here. Now, of course, Coach Saban has talked about Milroe. He's mentioned him quite a bit this offseason. He's talked about Milroe's leadership, his demeanor, his character, how he presents himself, how he kind of oozes confidence. He talked about the young man's athleticism. He talked about, Milroe's ability and capability to be a very accurate passer, to be a very precise passer. So, to me, I feel like, Alabama, because of how different Milroe is from Young and Paul Tyson, there may be some packages for Milroe. We can see some packages where, Bama kind of does him like Florida did with Tim Tebow back in the day, like LSU did with Ryan Perrilloux back in the day. Have some packages built in where they bring him on the field. They give him some run-pass options where he has the choice to either run with it, reading the defensive end, reading the outside linebacker. He has the choice to either run with it, or he has an ability to, he has the ability to pass as well. They may give him some short reads to work with, but, if we do see him this season, if we do see Milroe, then I see it in more of just some packages that Alabama will provide for him on the field. He is good. He is talented. He's been having a good spring. He's been having a good summer. But the thing that Alabama's trying to get him to do is be more polished here as a passer of the football. Just a little update there on Jalen Milroe. But, folks, we're going to take our final break here on the show. When we get back, we introduce brand new segment of the show, Steven's Soapbox. We'll get to it and wrap the show up right after this.
Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, as we're back in here from the break, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you a brand new segment here, Steven's Soapbox, where I'm about to go into, it's going to be an on-time segment here. I'm about to get into my hardcore thoughts when it comes down to things that involve Alabama football. So, folks, here we go. I don't understand. I really don't understand why people have labeled me as the Bryce Young hater. It doesn't matter where I go to. I could go on Facebook, I could go on Twitter, I could go on YouTube, and people are always putting my name, Stephen M. Smith, and beside it, it's he hates Bryce Young. he doesn't like Bryce Young. He has something against Bryce Young. He doesn't want Bryce Young to succeed. He doesn't want Bryce Young to excel. And that statement could not be any further. That statement is so far from the truth because in actuality, I really like Bryce Young. In actuality, I really want to see the young man succeed. In actuality, you have heard me state on this show about how I love his talent. I love his ability. He's got some magic in him. He's got a lot of playmaking ability in him. I have said nothing to disparage or drop shame or drop any type of negativity on his character, on his skill set, on his playmaking ability, on him as a player or as a person. I've never said anything out of the way discouraging when it comes down to Bryce Young. To me, I've always been fairly encouraging of the young man. My thing has always been, and it will continue to be this way, is when we consume Alabama football, you as fans, I myself in the media, we consume Tide football. And since we consume the sport, since we are so entangled in the sport, since we are so invested when it comes down to time, money, emotions, memorabilia, tickets, travel, games, we are so invested in the sport. My thought process has always been, if you are a die-hard Alabama fan, if I was to cut your skin and your blood came out of you and your blood would spill on the ground, Crimson Tide football, then it is your responsibility as a fan and my responsibility in media to know everything about the team, to be concerned about everything when it comes down to the team. Because you have to ask yourself, if you are not inquisitive, if you do not want to know every nook and cranny about what's going on with your football team, are you really doing yourself the due diligence as a fan? You have to ask yourself that question. Am I really doing my due diligence in the media? If I'm not being inquisitive, if I'm not asking questions, if I'm not being concerned, if I don't want to know everything that's going on within the confines of the University of Alabama football program, I would not be doing my due diligence in the media. So I've always been one to want to know how everybody's doing, because you need all hands on deck. This is why I talk about Paul Tyson. This is why I talk about Jalen Milroe, not to bring any type of disparagement or discouragement toward Bryce Young. It's because you need all hands on deck. And we saw this last year. Nobody could have predicted Jalen Waddle getting hurt. Nobody knew Jalen Waddle was going to get hurt. Nobody saw that coming. But we needed to have Slade Bolden ready. We needed to have John Mechie ready. Nobody saw Landon Dickerson getting hurt in the SEC championship against Florida. Nobody could have predicted that. Nobody could have saw that. Nobody could have witnessed that. But we needed to have Chris Owens ready to go. All hands on deck. Nobody saw, nobody predicted Malachi Moore getting banged up. Nobody could know that Malachi Moore was going to get hurt. But we needed to have Brian Branch all hands on deck in those two playoff games. We need to have Paul Tyson and Jalen Milroe all hands on deck, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being concerned. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with wanting to know about your program, especially if you are a fan of Bama. If you are a loyal supporter of Bama, then you need to know, is Paul Tyson ready? You need to know if Jalen Milroe will be able to do that. You need to know these things because it's football. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to transpire. We don't know what's going to take place. You need to know what's going to happen. And I'll say this. To me, for all my parents out there that have more than one child, Normally, the child you don't overly talk about a lot. Yes, you talk about them. Yes, you're proud of them. Yes, you mention them. But the child that you just don't overly talk about a lot, and that child that does not bombard your mind with worries, with fears, is usually that child that's handling their business, that's handling their responsibility, that's handling their job. You don't have to worry about that child. It's that child that's constantly on your mind, that's constantly on your lips, that you constantly worried about, that you're constantly talking about, that you're constantly saying, Lord, my baby, I hope my girl get it. I hope that boy get his head on straight. I hope they don't end up in jail. I hope they don't end up something wrong with them. It's that child that you're so overly consumed by. That's the child that you spend the most time talking about. That's the child that you're worried about. And you can take the same logic and apply it to Alabama football. If you're not overly talking about, Bryce Young, it don't mean that you don't care about him. It don't mean he ain't good. That just means that he handling business. He doing his job. He's handling his craft. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Now, if you become overly talking about Bryce Young, if you become overly consumed about Bryce Young, then that opens the door to, well, is he really that good? Is he really that dominant? Is he really that elite? Is he really that great? I don't know. Because you keep talking about him time and time and time and time and time. If he's really that good, let that brother be. If he's really that good, let that brother show us. If he's really that good, he will prove to us. You don't have to overly discuss him. I mean, this, to me, goes back to Jalen and Tua, 2017 and 18. The quarterback situation that tore the fan base right down the middle. It was crazy how you can just say Jalen's name, just trying to give him props, and people would be like, oh, you hate Tua. Oh, you a Tua hater. Oh, you don't like greatness. Oh, you don't like dominance. Oh, you don't like winning. Oh, you don't like our offense being phenomenal because you keep bringing up this Jalen all the time. You're like, whoa, cuz. Don't kill me. Is it wrong that I'm concerned about Jalen? Is it wrong that I care about a player on the team? Is that wrong? It's the same thing. People would bring up Tua. And folks would be like, well, you don't care about Jalen, or you're a Jalen hater, or you don't love Jalen, or you ain't supporting Jalen. And you're like, whoa, am I wrong for being concerned about a brother on the team? Am I wrong for being inquisitive about something? Am I wrong in being a Bama fan for wanting to know how everybody's doing? And that thing hit the fan base so much to where we saw fall camp, the open practice in 2018, where Jalen Hurts has to address the elephant in the room on the field in front of a flock of media. It got so bad that it got back to the players, and Jalen Hurts had to come on the field, open practice. I was there, and he spoke on it in front of the media. I have always supported Bryce Young. I will continue to support Bryce Young. My thing has always been, if we're going to talk up one player, then let's encourage the other player. If we're going to show love to one player, then we need to show love to everybody. Because at Alabama, it's one team. And you never know what's going to happen, what's going to take place on a football field. Just because you sing the praises of one player does not automatically mean you're dissing another player. It don't mean that. It's never meant that. You can love and talk about one player while still having the same support of another player. That's my 2 cents for the day. That's Steven's Soapbox. Just had to get that off my chest. I've always been a supporter of Bryce. Never hated the man. Never disrespected the man. Just wanting to know how every Alabama player is doing. But As always, Tide Nation, as always, ladies and gentlemen, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For all of your audio listening needs, we got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, we got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Friday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Tide Nation, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're also trying to copy that new edition, that fresh edition, that print edition of TDA, magazine, you can get this by going to touchdownalabama.com and you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. Also, if you're trying to cop that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com, you can find that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands' children. Continue doing the right thing, fun thing, good thing, smart thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spit in my own words.